Hello, welcome to the newest episode of the Debate Mates. I'm your co-host Matthew, and I'm here with my other co-host Jack. Today it'll just be the two of us, braving through the NBA trade deadline, almost, area time. So, by the time you guys are watching this video, a lot of what we're saying probably will be inaccurate because between now,
a lot
of our predictions will probably be inaccurate because from now until when you watch this, which will probably be somewhere between today, tomorrow, etc., the deadline will be over. So a lot of trades will probably have been coming in rapid succession between when we post this and Thursday at 3 p.m. So this trade came out of nowhere. Tobias Harris of the Los Angeles Clippers, all-star snub, you could argue, and I would argue that very strongly, got traded to the Philadelphia 76ers for basically nothing. So we can look on the Sixers side and fantasize for hours and hours, but let's look at the Clippers side first. What is your take, and what do you think they're planning right now?
I have no idea what Los Angeles was thinking. I have never seen. I mean, like this trade is actually ridiculous. I think. Here, I'll read it to you. Tobias Harris to the Sixers, and the Clippers got. Tobias Harris and Boban Marjanovic. Sorry, the last name's hard to pronounce. And Mike Scott for Landry Shamet, Mike Muscala, Wilson Chandler, and future picks. And for me, that's a horrible trade for Los Angeles. You lose your best player and get a few role players and some future picks.
And with the picks, the Sixers are a really good team, and the 2020 first-round pick is one that I think won't be very good. And then the 2021, 2023 second-round picks could be anything. Mm-hmm. But the one pick that really intrigues me is the first-round pick for 2021 because that is by way of the Miami Heat, who have been struggling. Probably their pick could be a lottery in that year. I don't know what could happen from now until then.
Yeah.
So it's really – I'm just – confused. Like you mentioned, this trade is very ridiculous. Tobias Harris, you could argue, is a top 25, top 20 player in the league.
I think he's definitely a top 10 shooting guard in the league.
Yeah, he's power forward.
Excuse me, power forward. Oh my gosh, why was I thinking of him as a shooting guard?
I don't know.
I guess it's because he's a great shooter. You could put him at the
50,
3,
40, 90 basically on this year. So this is just really confusing for me. Tobias Harris was on an expiring contract, but I feel like if you're the Clippers and you still have another 2 days to get this deal done, and you want to trade Tobias Harris, you could call 28 other teams besides the Sixers and get a better offer for your star than what they got. Like, did no one else want Tobias Harris? Were people too worried about him leaving in the summer? Because that's the only thing that I could...
Seems like that couldn't have been the best deal they could have gotten.
Like that's what I'm thinking, but I guess if they're really that worried about Tobias Harris leaving in the summer, it's a good plan to get rid of him, but you would think you could get something better.
Oh, yeah. You could get way better for Tobias Harris.
Now, I have a question. Is this team still better than the current Los Angeles Lakers?
No.
All right.
I don't think they were that much better to begin with, because even when they had Tobias Harris, of course, this season they've been like an 8th seed.
Right.
And, they've been always like in the playoff picture, but never like firmly in the playoff picture. And the Lakers have kind of been the same way, but the Lakers, now that they've got LeBron back, and if they get Anthony Davis, which is starting to look less likely, but we'll get to that later, I think the Lakers are definitely a better team than the Clippers, especially now with this trade.
All right, so now we've talked about the Clippers side, and there's not as much excitement to that part of the deal as there is to the other side, which is the Philadelphia 76ers, who basically have an all-star, who basically have 4 All-Stars in their lineup because Jimmy Butler and Tobias Harris, I think you could kind of count
argue
because they're that close. Is this team, do you automatically put this team over the Bucks, Raptors, Celtics, etc. as top team in the East?
They're at least close. They're up there. The 76ers have always been that type of team, at least for the past couple of years, when they've gotten really good. They've always been, in contention for like that Western Conference Finals or even a final spot. But they've never really been like a 1 seed. They've always been like, like a 4 seed or a 3. And I could definitely see this team taking a top 3 seed in the East, because when you think now, let's look at what their starting lineup would be. You've got Ben Simmons running the point. You've got J.J. Redick at shooting guard. At small forward, you could put Harris there.
Or Butler.
Or Butler, excuse me. You could put Butler at the 3, and then Harris at the 4, and Embiid at the 5. That is a dangerous starting 5. That is 4 all-star caliber players, outside of Redick, of course.
And now Simmons, the fact that he doesn't have a great jump shot doesn't affect the rest of the team as much because
Tobias Harris is
a fantastic shooter.
I think you could argue now maybe the best shooter on the team, except J.J. Redick maybe,
but those are two. And Harris and Redick, 2 fantastic 3-point shooters. Mm-hmm. And then obviously you have Embiid who can knock 1 or 2 down, but prefers to play in the paint. So this team just got a lot more dangerous. Right now, the Celtics still have higher odds to make it into the finals to represent the East. Mm-hmm. But do you think that the Sixers could beat the Celtics or the Raptors? Like, what teams do you think this puts them ahead of? Not regular season standings, but in the playoffs.
If I were to rank, you've got your big teams in the East, which are the Raptors, the Bucks, the Sixers, the Celtics, and I guess you could put the Pacers in there. Those are my 5, top Eastern Conference teams. I think they have been above the Pacers. And they've been below the other 3. I think this now puts them ahead of the Celtics. I'm hesitant to call them better than Toronto or Milwaukee because, of course, those are the 2 highest seeded Eastern Conference teams right now. And we're going to have to see how well Tobias Harris fits in because even though it seems like it'd be a great fit and a great benefit for the 76ers, you never know how they're going to fit in. You never know if it's going to end horribly.
Yeah.
So I would definitely put them over the Celtics now, but I'm hesitant to put them over the Raptors or the Bucks.
And I'm not sold that the Raptors don't have a deal up their sleeves. Like, there were talks earlier about a possible Conley and Gasol swap for Lowry and Jonas Valanciunas. That didn't go through, and now the Grizzlies are shopping other offers. And I don't think that we'll see a trade that drastic happen between now and the deadline tomorrow at 3 p.m. for the Raptors, but I do see them trading maybe a guy like OG Anunoby or Norman Powell or one of their lesser-known bench players and maybe trade them up along with a pick to get a guy like Wayne Ellington, even though he just got traded. Maybe a guy like Kemp Bazemore would help them out. A 3-and-D guy to bring off the bench to pair with C.J. Miles and Fred VanVleet.
Yeah.
Like someone like him or Trevor Ariza, who's back up in trade talks.
Because he just got traded.
Yeah, but he hasn't done for the Wizards what they wanted him to.
Yeah, just, 3-and-D type of player.
Yeah, just someone that could help on the bench because the Raptors do have one of the strongest benches in the league. But as we've seen with the Warriors, you don't need to have the strongest bench if you just have that strongest
starters, yeah.
And the Raptors aren't really that outmatched against the Warriors starting 5. I mean, obviously they are talent-wise, but they're not...
When you compare it, I mean, you got all-star level at the point guard, Kyle Lowry and Steph Curry. You look at their shooting guards, of course, Golden State has the advantage there.
Right.
And then shooting guard-wise, Kawhi Leonard versus Kevin Durant are 2, of course, of the top players in the league. You've got Valanciunas and Cousins, and of course Cousins hasn't played crazy consistently for Golden State, obviously, with the other great players on his team. And then you got Draymond Green and
Pascal Siakam.
I would
give the edge to Siakam.
I mean, Siakam's definitely the better scorer.
Yeah. So, and then if you can have that bench to put you over the top, I think that would help. And against a team like the 76ers, who did trade a lot of their depth for these 3 players that they got in return. Boban Marjanovic could possibly be a solid player off the bench. I mean, he's 7'6", and he hasn't really done anything with that height except for make people laugh. So
yeah, right.
He and Mike Scott, who's a solid 3-point shooter, they could definitely help, but I think they're going to have a weak bench. But let's see if the starters can hold their own and keep the Sixers as a top contender in the Eastern Conference.
I think they probably can. I mean, I think obviously, even though they did lose a lot of depth on this bench, I would say overall this is going to improve their record rather than make it worse. Yeah, I think there's definitely a better trade on the Sixers end.
Right. And they're hoping to re-sign Tobias Harris and Jimmy Butler to long contracts and keep this core together for a long time.
You got to worry then. Well, they got rid of a lot of players, so which could free up some cap space, but obviously Tobias Harris.
On the Clippers side?
No, excuse me, on the 76ers side, but then you have to think that, well, on both sides actually, but on the 76ers is what I'm referring to. But then, of course, you have to think Tobias Harris, Jimmy Butler, Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons. Those are all great players who are going to take up a lot of money.
Right.
They all want to be paid, and there are a lot of teams who would pay all of those guys very well to have them. Right. You have to think, are the 76ers going to be able to maintain all of those guys for longer than this year?
Yeah. All right, so we've discussed the Tobias Harris trade. So now let's move on to another potential trade. And we've been talking about this for weeks upon weeks upon weeks upon weeks.
And it's still gone nowhere.
And that is Anthony Davis, who every day, it's one day closer to being traded. And then the day after that, he's one day closer to being a Pelican for the rest of his career. So let's discuss that. He came out recently with his 4-team list of the teams he would be willing to sign contracts long-term with. The Bucks, the Lakers, the Clippers, and the Knicks. So, let me ask you, 1, is Anthony Davis going to stay a Pelican? And then 2, if he does stay a Pelican, for the rest of the season, what do you do with him as the Pelicans? Do you play him? Do you sit him? What do you do?
As the Pelicans, obviously you would want to play him for the rest of the year, I think, at least. Get some wins while you can. But if they don't trade him, he's going to walk in free agency. I think you got to get a trade. It's about to be the trade deadline. You got to get him out of there. Hopefully get something. Obviously, you're not going to get something incredible in return, but you want to get something good in return for Anthony Davis. And Bucks, Lakers, Clippers, and Knicks. Let's think. So the Bucks, that would be scary.
Right.
Pairing Giannis, Chris Middleton, and Anthony Davis would, for me at least, be easily the best front court in the league.
Right, yeah.
The Los Angeles Lakers obviously have been putting up offers for a while now.
And nothing they can put up seems to get it done.
Nothing has really worked so far. They've put everything on the table the Lakers have. They have put... I always thought that out of Kuzma, Ball, and Ingram, they're 3 best young guys. 2 of them are probably going to have to lead in the trade, but you want to be able to keep at least one of them. And I thought the one that they should keep out of the 3 is Kuzma, but they have put all 3 of them on the table.
Plus
and
more.
I think plus more, yeah, plus picks and bench players, and I think that is a terrible decision on Los Angeles' part.
I agree.
You can't sacrifice all your young talent. Let's think: LeBron and Anthony Davis, and then a bunch of nobodies.
Josh Hart.
Yeah. But you put LeBron and Anthony Davis aren't going to beat the Warriors if they don't have depth on that team.
Right.
And if you trade Kuzma, Ingram, and Ball, I mean, where's your young talent? LeBron has got, obviously he hasn't slowed down his career yet, but let's be real, he's in his 30s. He's not exactly young for the NBA. He's got maybe 3, 4, 5 good years left in him. And then he is going to start to deteriorate. It's only natural. It happens to everyone at some point in the NBA. And Anthony Davis, obviously not a super young guy like Ingram, Kuzma, and Ball are. I mean, he's not as old as LeBron, of course, but you got to keep some of that young talent because Anthony Davis and LeBron James alone are not going to beat the Warriors. They're not going to win this team a championship if they don't have some pieces around them. And I think it was a terrible offer that the Lakers put on the table, and they're lucky that New Orleans didn't take it because it would have been a really bad decision. I think that they would have definitely regretted. What other teams they have in the offer? The Clippers, of course, now lost Tobias Harris. They've lost their best player. Who would be their best player now? Gallinari, maybe?
Let's think. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has been solid.
I think Gallinari, for me, would at least be there.
Bradley, I don't know.
Avery Bradley has not really been relevant.
Montrezl Harrell.
Montrezl Harrell, yeah. I think I'd put Gallinari as their best player now that Tobias Harris is gone. Just me personally. Anthony Davis, of course, could put up great numbers on the Clippers and on the Knicks, of course, who have pretty much nobody at this point. They lost Kristaps Porzingis. Of course, they got Dennis Smith Jr. and DeAndre Jordan, but I don't think either of those guys are nearly on the level of a guy like Porzingis. So,
all right. So I'm going. Oh, sorry, I cut you off.
You're good.
All right. So I'm gonna agree with you on everything you said about the Lakers and this trade being kind of boneheaded for the Lakers, but I'm gonna disagree with you on one part. And you said you think that the Pelicans should trade Anthony Davis before the deadline. And I disagree with that because I think that the best offer is centered around Jason Tatum. That's the best thing you're going to get for him, I think. And you have not only this year but next year to make a trade. So it's not a big deal, I think, if they sit him for the rest of the year. And you said that you think they should play him. I agree with you. I think you shouldn't let a guy sit if he really wants to play and thinks he is able to. But you run the risk of him getting injured, which is one of the reasons the Pelicans are so eager to get. The Pelicans aren't eager to get the deal done. So excuse me for saying that, but I really think it's important that they keep him for this year, And then the Lakers, that offer is gonna be the same offer when it's summertime, because at that point they might even get who knows, Kevin Durant or Kawhi Leonard, and they're gonna say, okay, we'll definitely give you more things now, so we can get Anthony Davis. And like I said earlier, the best deal is what the Celtics can offer up. No one can beat those picks. Tatum.
They got a lot of great players in the Celtics. Yeah. And not enough roster spots to manage them all. Right. So I think definitely.
On 2K, there's always a rule when I try to trade. It's like you cannot have that many players on your roster. Does that not exist in the NBA? Like, they're going to trade like 7 players for Anthony Davis, and they're like, oh, that's going to work out fine. They're going to have like 15 players on
there. They're going to have like 60 players on that roster. Like, what are they going to do with all
They're
going
to have to get like 10 extra bench spots. Or they're going to have to like fit in one chair.
Drop some good players down to the G League.
Yeah. That'll be crazy. Yeah, Kuzma's going to be in the G League. They'll take turns when they don't put Brandon Ingram in the G League.
Yeah.
All right, so we mentioned the Lakers a little bit, but now let's move on to them a little bit more. So they've dropped out of the Anthony Davis sweepstakes. And it seems like they might be just running with the team they got right now. And it's not looking so good. The future does not look bright, and as we kind of all assumed going into the season, a team with LeBron and Lavar Ball would definitely get drama.
Be so much
and we're
drama.
Seeing it right now. The Lakers got blown out by 42 last night to the Victor Oladipo-less Pacers, and before that, LeVar Ball ripped LA, called Luke Walton a loser, said he changed Lonzo Ball's mentality to being a loser mentality. Hart, Ingram,
such a toxic pairing, LeBron James and LeVar Ball, because LeVar Ball genuinely believes that Lonzo Ball is the best player on the planet.
I know.
And this dude, and I'm sorry, no matter how proud you are of your son, come on, really? The dude averages like 10 points a game. We're really going to talk like he's the greatest player.
He's solid.
He's solid. He's very solid. But he's not even the best player on his team. Nowhere near.
He's not even the best
point guard on his team, you could argue. You could argue that Rondo's better. LeBron James, of course, he's been called the GM in the past, of course. He runs the team, if you know what I'm saying. But LeVar Ball wants to run the team, and he wants Lonzo to run the team. And that's just a horrible pairing when you got two guys who both want to have such a big say in what happens with the team.
When they see those pictures of LeBron, and they're like in the video on ESPN, and it's like all of the guys on the bench, and there's LeBron, Rob Pelinka, and Magic Johnson just up like near like in the nosebleeds, just like standing there with their sunglasses on, just watching them. Like LeBron's not even on the bench with the team; he's just like standing there. He's just watching
there, deciding who he's going to trade next.
So, but I think they should get Lonzo Ball out of there, but. The thing with that is he's a great asset to involve in a trade if they are eventually going to go out and get a big name player, whether it be Anthony Davis or
Kawhi
or a Kawhi or someone else via trade. So I don't necessarily think that they should trade Ball now, but I do think they need to get rid of him. Unless you're getting a lot of assets back, that would work really well to make a trade around. You're not going to get anything near his trade value. I think. Because even though he might not be as great as his father thinks he is, and he's hyped up to be, he still has a lot of potential and will get you an Anthony Davis if you throw other good pieces around him. So I think
you throw in Ingram and some.
Just keeping him for trade talk, I think, is reason enough to keep him. And he's not. The only thing he's doing right now is taking a roster spot with his injury, and we could see the Lakers season turn around when Lonzo comes back. We don't know. They played pretty well with him. They got LeBron. We don't know what will happen there, but.
Yeah, I mean. Anyway, so, I just, Lonzo's. Sorry, my phone started buzzing. Lonzo, obviously, LeVar has actually, we know it's LeVar.
Yeah. Has
released some teams that he thinks he would go well with, such as the Bulls. Phoenix, yeah. He stated that LeVar has stated, of course. Well, let's be real. We know it's LeVar.
Yeah, Lonzo's camp.
Lonzo's camp. Yeah, we know it's LeVar. Has said that he doesn't want him playing in New Orleans.
With an established point guard.
Yeah, he wants him on a team with no established point guard.
If Lonzo is so good, according to LeVar Ball, then if he gets traded to the Warriors, he should be a starter.
Exactly, and it doesn't make any sense.
He's like, my son is so good that if you trade him to the Phoenix Suns, he'll start.
And he's like, my son is so good that we're not going to trade him to a good team because he's so good that we don't trust him to take the roster spot because the other player might be better. Yeah. He's better though. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Basically, he's saying we want to trade him to a team with a bad point guard so that he can be able to start.
I know, because he wants to. Why would he? If LeVar
Ball's better to be on a good team as a bench player than a starter on a bad team. If LeVar Ball's
complaining about Lonzo getting a losing mentality, how would it help if he gets traded to Phoenix and they're trying to tank? And they're like, hey, Lonzo, go out and tank.
That's even worse than being on the Lakers.
Yeah, the Lakers are trying to make it big.
And granted, the Phoenix Suns really don't have an established point guard because obviously you can move Booker to the 2.
Right,
He's been playing point guard this year, and he is a shooting guard.
Right.
And Lonzo Ball could be great in Phoenix. I mean, again, they don't have an established point guard,
which is a big plus for LeVar.
Which is clearly, hey, my son can put up good stats, even though his team's going to be terrible.
What if this is a bluff by LeVar, and he's saying this so other teams don't want to trade for Lonzo, and he's like in the background, like, yes, this is.
Oh my gosh,
this is what I want. Yeah.
That would actually be.
Brilliant.
Really, that would actually be really smart.
I know. LeVar.
Everyone's like, this idiot, look at what he's doing, and he outsmarts us all.
Because the Pelicans said they're not as interested in Lonzo Ball anymore now because of all the baggage his father brings with him. And I think that could be... Lonzo Ball is an adult. He can go up to his father and say, Dad...
Yeah, come on, let him make his own decisions.
I know.
He's like messing with his kid's life after he's already moved out and gone.
Like middle school rumors where Lonzo's like, hey, Dad... I really want to switch classes, but I'm afraid to go up to the teacher. Can you email her? Like, oh yeah, I'll do you one better.
Lonzo Ball's camp receives email from Lonzo Ball's camp.
Like, oh yeah, we gotta move him around. So it's just very odd. This is not weird. A situation you hear about very often in the NBA.
Yeah, it's such a just strange, immature kind of.
I know.
Like, can we not be professional about this? Is this not the National Basketball Association? This isn't like this is professional basketball, people. This is these people's jobs, and they can't even.
I know he gets paid a couple $1 million to play basketball, and LeVar Ball still complains.
Exactly.
It's called spoiled. That's why.
That's
why I'm not going to waste my talents in the NBA. I could, but don't want to get too spoiled.
We could always trade you to a team with an established point guard, and you could put up 20 points a game.
No, I prefer unestablished.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
Unestablished point guard. My bad. We could always trade you a team with no established point guard.
That's as long as my dad makes sure it happens.
Yeah, as long as
I don't want to do it by myself.
Yeah, he's afraid that you might be bad on a good team.
And throw in my brothers.
Yeah, just put them in there too.
Yeah. All right. So now let's get to the final thing. This video's been going pretty quick. That's surprising.
Yeah, wow, it feels like we've been talking a lot longer.
I know it does. So our final topic for today's video is kind of I'm not gonna say it because it's gonna be mean. It's gonna be really mean.
Let's say funny.
It's kind of comical.
A little bit.
That Wall, I can't think of the word.
Tore
his Achilles at his house by slipping and falling.
It's a little anticlimactic.
Yeah, that's still very odd. Like, with John Wall, you would expect he's at the club at 3 a.m. and he's trying to impress a girl, and then he slips and falls and tears his Achilles. That's the John Wall story we were expecting to hear.
Yeah, so Wall, of course, is out for the year. He's already had his operation that he underwent, and he's out for the whole season. And he had a walking boot for his foot. And at home, he didn't have it on at the time, which apparently he was cleared to do. He was allowed to, of course, if he's at home, not have his walking boot on. And he slipped and fell and tore his Achilles. Can you imagine just tripping and falling? And it's oops, I just caused a season-ending injury.
12 months.
My bad.
12 months.
So that is 12 months tacked on to the several more months that are already on his recovery time. Yeah.
So I have a question for you. When Wall comes back, it will obviously not be next year. So
it could be late next year,
2021
playoff time, or oh my gosh, so 2021.
Let's just say for the sake of argument, he comes back 2021, 2022 season. He's 30, I believe, and Bradley Beal's 27. Do you still run that back, or is this just an extra way to stamp it in that the Wizards need to trade Bradley Beal?
They absolutely need to trade Bradley Beal. We can't. They can't.
They do this every year. They do this every year. They do the same dance where they're solid and then they stink, and then they're solid and then they stink. But
it's so up and down with that franchise.
And they have had the same GM through this whole run. They should fire the GM first of all, hire a new GM who has a perspective on the future instead of a win now team, because the Wizards don't have the talent to do that.
They don't. Yeah, a win now mentality is good in some aspects, but. When you got a team that can't win now, why would that be your mentality?
And then what you do is you trade Beal, you trade Porter, you trade Ariza, all these guys that you're owing a lot of money to, especially Porter.
Get these expensive guys out
and
here.
And you get young guys, you get picks. I mean, they still have Dwight Howard sitting on the bench for a glute injury.
And he's getting paid. They're paying him, and he's not playing. They're paying John Wall a lot, and he's not
they're paying
playing.
John Wall a filthy amount of money to sit on the bench.
To sit on the bench for 2 years. He's been on the bench practically this whole season, and he's going to be on the bench for the rest of the season, and likely for all of next year, too. So he won't be back this season. He probably won't be back next year. He will be back the year after that, and there is no way of knowing if he's going to be anywhere near the level he was at. He's going to be older. He's going to have undergone 2 foot injuries within, months of each other.
And even when you're 30, take away injuries that John Wall has been very prone to his whole career. You're still going to lose that quickness that you have. That John Wall has.
His whole...
Plus an Achilles injury. He's never been a great jump shooter. So unless he really, really develops that, or he is Superman and can heal instantaneously to any sort of injury and regains all of his quickness, this could ruin his career.
Absolutely. And I think it will. Honestly.
Hot take.
Hot take, yeah. I think this is it for John Wall's superstar career.
Gotta put that in the description. Watch till 25:38 for hottest take of 2019.
I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. I think he will never be on the same level he has been on.
I'm gonna say something else.
Okay.
I don't think John Wall's ever been a star.
Well, star, maybe
All
not
star,
maybe,
but not star.
Not superstar. I think personally, John Wall has always been one of the more overrated players in the league.
I totally agree.
Because, of course, he puts up 20-ish points a game when he was playing consistently, and close to 10 assists, and that's great. 20 and 10 is great, but when you've got players like Russell Westbrook who average a triple double, and I've talked about this in the past, I do believe he's stat pads, but he averages a triple double. And people call him overrated, which I kind of agree with, honestly. But people call him overrated, and meanwhile people are here looking at John Wall scoring 20 and 10 a game, and they're like, oh, top 5 point guard in the league.
Yeah, and another thing with him is this is something that comes up a lot whenever you're talking basketball and any sort of facilitator on the court. This comes up with LeBron, blah, 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 blah. Is do they really make their teammates better as a point guard or facilitator? And we saw, it's like similar to what happened with Westbrook. Victor Oladipo got traded for Paul George. Oladipo took off, his career exploded.
And all of a sudden he becomes great. Same thing with James Harden.
Yeah, John Wall he was already, I don't think that would have happened no matter who was on his team.
Well, yeah, that's true.
And then we see John Wall gets injured. Bradley Beal all of a sudden is a superstar. I mean, we saw it in him, but he never really had that true opportunity that I think he has now. And I think they need to keep him as a number 1 guy, whether it's on the Wizards or another team they trade him to.
Yeah, for me, John Wall does not strike me as the type of player that makes his teammates better.
I agree.
I don't know.
And he gets into fights with people on Twitter, his teammates.
That's what I'm saying. He seems... Okay, he's the same type of way. He's a great player, of course. I believe he's a little overrated. He was a great player before his injury. Of course, I don't think he's going to come back the same. But throughout his career, he's been a great player. But so are guys like Russell Westbrook, guys like... DeMarcus Cousins, Draymond Green. These are great players, but do they make their teammates better? No. All in all, what I think they do is they cause a lot of drama for the team, and they're a little unstable at times. I don't mean mentally. I mean a little emotionally.
Well, same difference.
Like you see guys like DeMarcus Cousins and Draymond Green and John Wall, at least to an extent, getting texts all the time. Why? Because they got some repressed rage, man.
And they just gotta let it go.
Just gotta let it go every now and then. But I'm just saying, John Wall strikes me as the type of guy who would yell at you rather than teach you how to do it better.
Right. Yeah. John Wall seems like he's. I mean, whether it be coming into training camp looking like he just got out of prison, or you saw that picture. Or what else did he do?
We're roasting him so hard.
Or he goes out partying every summer. Like, Stephen A. Smith just completely demolished him, saying, no, all you do is party, you don't care about the team. John Wall just seems like he has other priorities that are more important to him than basketball.
And it's his career.
I know.
And, he used to be this amazing player, and now no one is certain at all about what kind of player he's going to be.
Yeah, it's...
Which is disappointing, again, because he's a crazy, athletic, talented player. Of course, his, driving to the basket, his speed... a lot of that is going to be lost with the Achilles injury, and he's never been a great jump shooter, like you said. So if he can't develop that, then now what does he have?
Right. And then maybe he can develop into something that Westbrook has been this year. And I think he definitely has been better, Westbrook, in his ability to not his ability, but his mentality of, I don't need the first shot, I don't need all the assists, I'm going to give the ball to Paul George and let him do his thing. If John Wall comes back and he is that player and he takes shots occasionally in the flow of the offense, but still can get his assists, and like I said, in the flow of the offense, then that will help. But if he comes back and he just drives, penetrates, and then kicks it out to the corner for a 3-pointer and doesn't really focus on Beal, then it's not going to work out for him or the Wizards at all. So I think they need to get rid of Beal and they need to start over.
They do, because like for so long they've always been like good, just not great.
Yeah, it's kind of like always been
they've always been like a second round exit.
Right.
Yeah, like I think the Wizards for at least the past few years have been better than the Blazers, but are they, or is it just the conference?
Just the conference.
Yeah, honestly.
And the Blazers, we didn't mention it at all in this episode, but I'm just gonna get in right now. They made a trade, Nick Stauskas and I'm blanking on the second player. He has a long name. That's fine. Wayne Baldwin the fourth. They traded the two of them and I think a pick for Rodney Hood from the Cleveland Cavaliers. So I think that will definitely help them improve if he comes in as
Rodney Hood's a solid player.
It's
not going to do much good for the Cavs, but then again, like they weren't doing well with Rodney Hood either.
And Zion Williamson is the ultimate goal for them. And
what's it going to do to the Cavs? Make them finish like 0-82.
Yeah,
they finish 1-81 instead of 0-82.
They just might go winless the rest of the year. So that's
wouldn't surprise me.
So that'll conclude the episode. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. After this, there will be no more trade talks unless someone gets traded. But other than that, no more fantasizing about trades. No more Jack texting me angrily saying, Matthew, stop telling me we got to talk about trades. No more of any of that. And hopefully no more just two people. Hopefully Nathan's back. We get the big three all together.
But, by next time, we probably have some stuff from the All-Star weekend to talk about, which, of course, is coming up very soon.
Right. Yes. So, if we make an episode on Saturday, which we're planning to, we'll have hopefully some predictions for the All-Star weekend, which will be next weekend. So hopefully some exciting stuff will be coming. Hopefully when Nathan gets back, we can introduce a lot of 3-player games. So yeah, just keep looking out for the debate mates. Tell your friends' family, your family's friends, blah blah blah. Tell everyone you know to watch, subscribe, like, whatever. We appreciate all the love that you give us in the comments. All two of you. Because
it will change your life.
It will change your life. This is a great group of people talking about a great sport, the best sport in the league.
Well, it's the only sport in the league.
The best sport in the world. Right. I mean, even people in China love the NBA. England, Britain, they really want
might as well just call it the BA at this point.
Basketball Association.
Because even people in other countries are watching the NBA.
And hopefully one day we are just called the Mates because we've grown worldwide. Okay. All right, so that's enough for the episode today. I hope you all enjoyed. Subscribe, like, blah, blah, blah. And we'll see you guys next time on the Debate Mates.